Hello everyone, and welcome to the Upper Cape Wind Turbine Dilemma Show. My name is Dave Moriarty, and I'll be your host for today. And today, we are exclusively focusing on the Falmouth wind turbine issues. Some new developments in the wind turbine fiasco of Falmouth. We have some new options coming up on the table for the Falmouth Wind 1 and Wind 2. It seems that our selectmen, our Board of Selectmen back in, I believe it was July, the chair decided that we were going to put this matter behind us and move forward as a town and heal the community and bring everyone back together. But apparently that's not the case anymore. Now they've decided to kick the can down the road again. We have been wrestling with this dilemma for over 8 years. I can't tell you how many meetings we've had, how many wind turbine options meetings. We had wind turbine option meetings for over a year. We paid almost $150,000 for that, for the wind turbine option group to come up with the options that we were going to use to solve this dilemma, and that was back in 2013. So folks, this has been going on for 8 years. The leadership in this town has been very ineffective. I mean, we've been struggling with this issue for 8 years, people. I'm emphasizing the 8 years because we haven't come up with any solutions. The only reason we're having this conversation here today is because Superior Court Judge Cornelius Moriarty ruled against the town after they took their own zoning board of appeals to court because they didn't like the decision that they ruled the turbines a nuisance. Now, for you, all you newcomers to Falmouth and all you new people who are just getting up to speed on this issue, I'm going to give you a little history of how we got to where we are and what I believe is the best solution out of this problem. Okay, back in 2005, I know it seems like a long, long time ago, we hired a consultant, more consultants, more lawyers, right, to do a sound study on a GE model, a 1.3 decibels of noise level on the GE model. It was smaller than the turbines that we actually received. And they did their sound study, and they came out with, well, if you use the smaller turbine, you're still going to be out of compliance with the state of Massachusetts sound regulations. And the town had the KEMA report right in front of them before any of this even got started, okay? So this project was doomed from the beginning. The turbine that the town had selected was a GE turbine. Now, GE approached the town and said, I'm sorry, but we are unable to produce the product that you're asking for because they didn't want to get involved with lawsuits. It was too close to the road. They were afraid of ice throw, and it was too close to the residential neighborhoods, and they had experienced this before. This isn't anything new, folks. This was not a phenomenon. This has been going on since 1981 in Boone, North Carolina. So GE flatly refused to sell the town of Falmouth their turbines. So they went out and they got a foreign turbine from the Massachusetts Technology Collaborative, which was closed down because all of their studies were wrong. They were just a ragtag state agency funded by the taxpayers of Massachusetts to push renewable energy on the citizens of Massachusetts. Well, that was defunct, and so they changed their name. They moved some people around, some Pauls got moved, and then they decided to call themselves the Clean Energy Center. Well, it just so happens that the Clean Energy Center went out and purchased these two 1.65 megawatt wind turbines for, I believe it was the town of Orleans was originally supposed to get them, and the town of Mattapoisett. But after having, meetings and special town meetings, those towns decided it was not in their best interest to buy these machines, and they refused to buy them. And so the Mass Clean Energy Center was stuck with two 1.5 megawatt wind turbines. And so they didn't know what to do with them. They were in storage for 3 years. They were gear-driven turbines of older turbines. So they had them in storage for 3 years. So they decided to auction them off to anyone in the country or anyone in the world that would actually purchase these turbines, and not one person would take them. So the Clean Energy Center approaches the town of Falmouth, bribes the town with $1 million if they would please take these turbines off their hands, and they would help them any way they could to get them erected. And ladies and gentlemen, that's how we got into this situation we're in today. It was bad politics, it was poor policy making, and it was a rush to wind, and here we are. 8 years later, no leadership, no decisions, no help from the state to help the town take these turbines down. And now the town is telling you that we're going to kick the can down the road again, and we're going to try to move wind to another location. And frankly, I think that's appalling to the citizens who live around the wind turbines and who live in that area of town, because it's impossible to put up a 1.65 megawatt wind turbine in the town of Falmouth. There is no area large enough to absorb the infrasound and the annoyance from the physical sound that the machines make themselves. And to add insult to injury, the town never did the sound study with Wind 1 and Wind 2 going at the same time, because they knew they were so far out of compliance with Wind 1 that they were afraid if they actually did the sound study for Wind 1 and 2, it would totally ruin the entire state's wind energy policy. Because Deval Patrick had a policy that he wanted to enact. Back in 2008, it was 2,000 megawatts by 2020 of wind power. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the wind program totally failed. There's 21 communities in the state of Massachusetts who are suffering the same plight that the town of Falmouth is suffering. We've spent millions and millions and millions of dollars of litigation, got absolutely nowhere. Now the legislators are legislating through the court system now. Now we have to go to the court system to actually get these machines shut down. Now, it's already happened in Falmouth. It's going to continue throughout the state of Massachusetts. This is going to be a billion-dollar fiasco for the ratepayers and taxpayers of Massachusetts. And so I just want to remind people that, it is so important to be involved in local politics. It's so important to vote. It's very important who you vote for. We can't afford to be wasting $1 million on this ridiculous wind program when we knew back in 1981 in Boone, North Carolina. Here's the kicker, folks. You're going to love this. You know what happened in Boone, North Carolina in 1981? The same thing that's happening in Falmouth, Massachusetts in 2018. They had these two megawatt wind turbines in Boone, North Carolina, and they had to take them down because of the annoyance and the infrasound coming off of the machines and the blades. It was so powerful back then in '81 that they were actually rattling the dishes and the cupboards of the people's homes. And they were just driving the whole town crazy, so that they ended up taking the wind turbines down. NASA did a study with the Department of Energy, spent $20 million on the study. Scientist Dr. Neil Kelly did the study. It only takes 2 seconds to Google that, folks. I want you, everyone at home, I want you to go to your computer right now. I want you to Google NASA, Department of Wind Energy, Boone, North Carolina, Dr. Neil Kelly's study on infrasound. Okay, now if the town would have just done that 8 years ago, we would have saved ourselves $20 million here, just on the cost of the machines, the litigation, all of the wasted productivity in the town. Look at all, we've wasted 8 years. We've got absolutely nothing, and now these people want to kick it down the road again and hire more attorneys, more consultants. This is ridiculous, folks. This is totally unacceptable. And if I urge every Falmouth citizen to please call your Board of Selectmen, tell them to take the turbines down, stop this foolishness. This is a total, colossal fiasco and a complete waste of money. We need to stop this now. We need to stop it today. The only people who ever made a dime off of this wind turbine fiasco are the Beacon Hill law firms, which happen to be ex-politicians. You've heard of crony capitalism? Well, this is crony capitalism at its greatest. You know, you get elected, you become a lawyer, you go to the Beacon Hill law firms, you get hired by the towns to defend the wind turbines, you get paid by the towns, your friends are writing all the legislations in the State House, and then you get all the kickbacks for your campaigns to get reelected. It's just an awful, awful, colossal waste of money, and it's so corrupt. It just needs to be exposed. And I'm so happy that I have an opportunity to explain to you exactly what happened to you. The state of Massachusetts and the Clean Energy Center hoodwinked the town of Falmouth over $20 million out of $20 million, and now they want to kick the can down the road and take even more of your money. And I think it's time you folks woke up. This is ridiculous. Please call the Board of Selectmen. Please call the chair and let her know exactly how you feel and how you want your money spent. I think we're all tired of wasting our money on lawyers and trying to recoup any money from this fiasco. It's just not going to work, folks. The machines are 8 years old. Nobody wanted to purchase the machines 8 years ago. Do you think anybody in their right mind would purchase Win 1 or Win 2? 8 years of wear and tear and a couple years of non-use. The bearings, when you don't use the turbines, the bearings have pressure on them. The bearings crush, and then they become useless. It's costing us thousands and thousands of dollars just to keep the computer systems going, just to keep the oil in the machines warm. I mean, they're not moving and they're still costing us money. It's just been a colossal waste of money. So I urge everyone in the upcoming months where the Board of Selectmen is going to be open and transparent about the whole situation, and they want to hear from you. They want to hear from you, the community, how they should get out of this dilemma. After they've spent hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, hired many, many consultants, many acousticians, many lawyers to work on this. This has been going on for 8 years now, people. 8 years of this fiasco. I don't know who's running this town anymore. I think the Board of Selectmen might want to, I think the citizens of Falmouth might want to take a look at their Board of Selectmen. I don't think it's an effective form of government for the town of Falmouth anymore, because if it was, we would have been able to solve this problem. I don't think it would have taken us 8 years to get to where we are today to just decide that we're going to kick the can down the road again. You know, I just want to say, if we're going to try to salvage something out of Wind 1 now, maybe perhaps use it for cell tower receptors, well, that's great. But let's get moving on it immediately. Let's have the hearing for the special permit. Let's have the citizens who come into the hearing with their information, with their evidence, see if it's feasible to actually do. The reason we got into this situation in the first place is because we didn't have a hearing. Our bylaw states inexplicitly you must apply for a special permit if you're going to erect a wind turbine. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And unfortunately, we decided not to follow our own rules, and that's why the judge in Superior Court shut down the wind turbines, because he deemed them to be a nuisance. Now, if we would have just followed our own laws and proceeded with our own protocol, we would have never gotten into this mess in the first place. So it's a governmental problem here. We had the laws on the books. They weren't enforced. Why weren't they enforced? That's what I want to know. Perhaps the town is too big now. Perhaps a board of selectmen doesn't work for Falmouth anymore. Maybe we need a mayor. Maybe we need someone to actually step up and take responsibility for this fiasco. This wind turbine fiasco has been kicked down the road year after year after year. 8 years, this is unacceptable. I don't care who you are. 8 years of not solving this issue is completely unacceptable. And you know it, and I know it. Now, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to just sit on our couches, stay home, and not vote, and continue to be fleeced by our town government? I mean, this is just one issue. I just want to focus on this issue. I don't want to go into any other issues. But not only is this a financial fiasco, a governmental fiasco, it's the citizens of Falmouth. You sat at home. You had an opportunity to vote. You could have taken these down in 2013, and you decided not to. Now, I'm not going to blame you folks for not doing that. I blame the government. I blame the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen had a warning letter from Vestas, the company who built these machines, who warned the town. They warned the town. They said, look, we are not going to deliver Wind 2 unless you take full responsibility for the wind turbine, okay? We believe it's too big and it's too large for your site. It's not a good site. It's not a good fit. We don't think you should be doing it. But if you want it, you take full responsibility and we'll deliver it. Well, you know, GE warned the town. No, we're not going to give you our turbines. We're not even going to consider selling you our turbines. It's just not the right site and it's not the right fit. Why in God's creation did not the selectmen take heed to that information? Why did they ignore all of that? Because it was politically driven, ladies and gentlemen, and that's why. And that's the trouble. When politics get involved with making good decisions locally for your community, and you get steamrolled over by the Pauls and the money and the pie in the sky money for everybody. How much money was this project going to produce? It was going to be millions and millions and millions of dollars for the town. It was going to be terrific. Yeah, well, it was millions and millions of dollars for the Beacon Hill law firms. It was a $20 million loss for the citizens of Falmouth. You know, we need that money to build a senior center. This is ridiculous. We need that money to be put back into the school system. We need that money to get these kids off of the opiates. We don't need to be wasting money on Beacon Hill law firms. They're doing just fine without your money, folks. So when your tax bill comes in, you know, and you're wondering why your taxes are going up, your services are going down, well, you won't have to wonder anymore. So I've got to tell you, folks, if you don't call the Board of Selectmen and if you don't tell them to stop this ridiculousness, this fiasco, Wind 2 will never be put up in the town of Falmouth. Nowhere, no how, never. Now, if you want to go into litigation for another 8 years, you sit at home, you stay on your couch, don't pick up your phone, and let those people take all of your money. Because that's what's going to happen if Wind 2 is ever moved into this town. Okay? There'll be litigation for another 8 years. Is that what you want? Then I suggest you just keep doing what you're doing, because you're doing a miserable job of running your own community. So please, I'm urging everyone here now, call your selectmen, tell them just to stop the project, cut your losses, and move on. We cannot spend another dollar on another Beacon Hill law firm. We can't spend another dollar on a consultant. We know it's a failed project. We know it was a failed project before it ever even started. We don't need any more experts. The experts are you folks. You folks at home. Now do your job, like Belichick says. Do your job, shut the turbines down, and get moving on better solutions. You're a better town than that. You're smarter, you're more intelligent. Stop being hoodwinked by Beacon Hill and Washington lobbyists. So thank you very much, folks, and please do your job. And go Pats. Thank you.